Welcome to Awesome Movie Year, the podcast where we take a look back at an awesome year for movies, which is every year. My name is Josh Bell, film critic and writer, and my co-host.
I'm Jason Harris, filmmaker, comedian, fire starter.
Oh, like The Prodigy?
Sometimes.
All right, cool.
Maybe sometimes like the Drew Barrymore 1980s movie, right?
Both excellent fire starters.
And sometimes just like a pyromaniac.
All right, cool. Good deal.
You need a fire, I'll start it.
Good to know. So we finished up our season on the films of 2007. And as we did last season, we're doing a little epilogue here, looking back at what other movies we might have talked about in our various categories, because there were a few movies that came out in 2007.
The people want to know, Josh. They say there are all these movies. How do you choose? What did you leave out? Why did you do it this way? Well, we're here to pull back the curtain and show you what's behind there.
Amazing. So our first episode of the season was the box office champion, Spider-Man 3. And we did actually like fudge that a little because Spider-Man 3 was the North American box office champion, but the worldwide box office champion was Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, the third, which we did not want to talk about, and is a terrible movie and also like nearly 3 hours long.
No, thank you.
You've seen that, I assume.
Maybe. They're all the same, aren't they?
They are, yeah. I watched them all before the last Pirates of the Caribbean came out, and they really do, especially that third one has like it just starts and it's got like 10 subplots and no main plot, and it just never ends.
I don't know. Is that one with Jeffrey Rush where he's like a ghost pirate or something?
He's in all of them, I think.
There you go. They're all the same.
They are. So that was number one worldwide, though. And Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix was number 2 worldwide. And that's, I think, a fine movie. But again, it's so much a like middle chapter thing. It's not really a thing to talk about on its own.
Yeah, to me, we look up the top 10 every season. And the ones that stood out for me as maybe other ones would have been Ratatouille, which I like very much. And then the Simpsons movie, because that's the only movie the Simpsons ever made.
Yeah, and I think that's been kind of forgotten as a movie.
Yeah.
Shrek the Third and Transformers were both also high on the box office list, and I'm happy not to watch or talk about either of those.
You two
movies.
go fuck yourselves.
I mean, I feel like that's not really that's not an overreaction to those movies, probably. Next up was
what's interesting is for such a good movie year, and as you said, maybe the last great movie year. A lot of people consider the top 10, a lot of garbage in there.
There is a ton of garbage in there. And I think the greatness of this year isn't in like the biggest movies at the box office, certainly. But one place where there was a lot of greatness was in the debut feature from a notable filmmaker. I think we had a lot of discussion about this. We ended up going with Gone Baby Gone by Ben Affleck, which is a great movie, and I'm glad we talked about it. I thought it was really interesting, but there were a lot of other options.
Yeah, that was a very good episode, if I was rating it myself on how we did. But Josh, Dave, you remember how hard Josh was like, can we just do The Education of Charlie Banks because I love Fred Durst? And I was like, Josh, come on, Josh. We know you're a big you're rolling with Limp Bizkit. This is a film podcast. The answer is no.
I'm glad you noted that down. Fred Durst, of course, still going strong with his recent film, The Fan, starring John Travolta.
Did you see that movie?
No.
Oh, that's too bad. But I'm sure you will because you're a big Fred Durst fan.
I haven't seen any of his movies.
You ever see his X-rated video?
No. Why would I see that?
Because you love Fred Durst. That's the point.
That is wrong.
Okay.
You're accusing me of things because I like Van Hagar more than Van Halen.
That was so last week's episode, Josh.
That was.
Here were the ones I was
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
we moved on already anyway.
The ones I had noted down was Anton Corbijn Control, which was the Joy Division Ian Curtis movie.
Oh yeah, that's not. I feel like Anton has he made just like 1 or 2 more movies since then?
Yeah, he sticks with the music.
The music. But he's good. He did the American with George Clooney, which I liked a lot.
Yeah, that Control is not an easy movie to watch.
Yeah.
And then of course, The Lookout, Scott Frank, great movie.
Yes, that is a great movie.
Tony Gilroy's Michael Clayton, which was maybe my favorite movie of 2007.
Right. I remember that we can get to a little later, but I know that when we were talking about your pick, that was one that you were talking about possibly going with.
And I was really close to picking it, but I love that movie.
Yeah, that's a great movie too.
This was also the year Angelina Jolie had her debut feature, A Place in Time. I've never seen it.
I don't even know what that is. Yeah, I didn't realize that was her first. I remember she did that. Is that the one about the war in Bosnia?
Could be.
Okay.
Could be, Josh.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but you're really reaching here.
No, I'm not, because the last one is one that I did fight for, which was Taika Waititi's Eagle versus Shark, because he's a hot commodity right now, man.
He is. And I've liked a lot of his later films, but I remember hating Eagle versus Shark and not knowing who he was, or I think who Jermaine Clement, who's the star of that, was. I saw that at the Cine Vegas Film Festival, and I just loathed that movie.
And I haven't seen it, but I do love Boy and The Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yeah, Hunt for the Wilder People is a lot of fun. So maybe I'd like it if I came back to it. I think ones that I was pushing for a bit were Jeremy Saulnier's Murder Party, which is not great. It's certainly not as good as his later films like Blue Ruin and Green Room, but I think it's an interesting start for him. And Sarah Polley's Away From Her, which, talk about hard movies to watch.
We do love Sarah Polley.
Yeah, she's great. And she's gone on to lots of interesting things. So not all, Fred Durst aside.
Yeah, you love Fred Durst.
Some good choices there.
That's what we learned in this segment. Josh loves Fred Durst.
So wrong. For our flop episode, we talked about I Know Who Killed Me.
Thanks for that, Josh.
Yeah, which I was pushing for. And I think we had an interesting, fun talk about it, but it is a bad movie.
I'm trying to wash it from my brain still.
I think the other main option that we talked about there was Lucky You, the Curtis Hanson film with Eric Bana and Drew Barrymore, which was all shot in our hometown of Las Vegas. And so it's kind of known here more than in general, but it was a massive failure.
Yeah, I've never seen it. But you tell me it's horrible and also not like interestingly horrible. So.
Yeah, I didn't even think it was that horrible. Like, honestly, I didn't even watch all of it. I was doing a big piece on Las Vegas movies. And so I was just kind of researching which ones to cover. I watched maybe 45 minutes of it, and it was just flat and kind of generic as a romantic comedy. It's no I Know Who Killed Me in terms of quality.
Hey, this is when we all thought Eric Bana was a movie star.
Yeah, that was a wrong choice there.
Yeah.
Couple other things I noted down there. Across the Universe, which has also become a cult classic, could have been in there, but was a big failure at the time and was heavily hyped because of its whole Beatles connection.
That would have been a very interesting one to cover.
Yeah, and that's gotten it's gotten enough of a following that it had like a theatrical re-release earlier this year. And then Southland Tales, the Richard Kelly film, which was also highly anticipated after Donnie Darko, and just
I think that would have been interesting because I've never seen it, but it's like one of those what is going on here, right?
Yeah, I have seen it. I don't remember. I think that's another one where it's like I expected it to be so insane and I was a little let down with it, but it is definitely strange.
Well, I had a few others. Evan Almighty, which I'm glad we didn't do.
Oh, yeah.
The assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford would have been interesting. You like that movie.
I like that movie a lot. Yeah, I think we talked about that in a few categories, including maybe my pick.
Yeah, and also in your pick would have been Zodiac, which was not a box office hit. It could have been here.
Yeah, Zodiac is great, and that certainly has got a great critical reputation. That was my number one, like on my top 10 list at the time in 2007.
And one other movie that I liked at the time, but I wonder if I would like now, was The Brave One with Jodie Foster.
Oh yeah, I remember that being just kind of not much of anything.
Yeah, so who knows?
But yeah, so a lot of interesting failures in 2007.
So many failures, Josh.
The Cannes Palme d'Or winner that we talked about was the Romanian film 4 Months, 3 Weeks, 2 Days. Other movies in competition at Cannes include one that we also talked about, or two that we also talked about, actually, the No Country for Old Men and Persepolis. Also in competition, Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, Wong Kar-wai's My Blueberry Nights. We've talked about him in our last season. Gus Van Sant's Paranoid Park, which I think we watched the trailer for it on a DVD that we watched for this season, and Zodiac. So quite a strong competitive year there at Cannes as well.
Little love for James Gray. We own the night.
Oh yeah, I'm not no love for James Gray from me.
He doesn't like James Gray.
No, I really don't. But a lot of interesting movies at Cannes.
Yeah, that seems like a good festival that year.
Indeed. Our documentary pick was The King of Kong, which I thought was a lot of fun. And it's sort of more of a lighthearted documentary. There were some more serious social issue documentaries that made a big impact that year, including Michael Moore's Sicko and Alex Gibney's Taxi to the Dark Side. which I remember liking that movie. Alex Gibney has gone on to make 87 movies a year since then, and I think so, has lost their impact.
Human documentary factory.
He
Alex
really
Gibney.
is, yeah. But that was when he wasn't quite at that level of being prolific.
And Sicko, while dealing with a serious issue, does have the humor that Michael Moore has been known for.
Yeah, I think that's maybe one of his better later films. It's a little more focused than some of the other movies that he's done. Also, Werner Herzog's Encounters at the End of the World,
which I love.
Of
Great
course.
movie.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's one of those movies that established the Werner Herzog persona when he talks about penguins wandering off into the distance.
I would go to Antarctica. Yeah, he goes to Antarctica and just Werner Herzogs it up. So
he does. And My Kid Could Paint That, which I think was kind of a sensation. That was also at Sundance that year.
That's a good movie. I had a few other ones on there. Crazy Love, which that story about the guy who threw acid in the lady's face.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good movie.
Yeah. Jackass 2.5. That's a documentary. So
I am very glad to not have watched not even a main Jackass movie, but like a spin-off Jackass movie.
Did you ever see Steal a Pencil for Me? That one would have been
I've never heard of that, actually.
It's about, I think it's about the Holocaust, but it's about how this man and woman would show love by stealing a pencil for one another.
Like in a concentration camp?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
So that would have been an interesting one, but good year for documentaries, as we have pointed out.
Yeah. I think this was, especially with Alex Gibney kind of ramping up, was maybe one of the first years. We have so many documentaries now. There's so many places for them. And this was maybe beginning a bit of that.
And as we said during the King of Kong episode, we'd love to see that gentleman go back and make some more documentaries.
Yeah, certainly better than the narrative films that he's made.
Yeah.
My pick was Margot at the Wedding, the Noah Baumbach film, which I think we had an interesting chat about.
Very emotional.
Very emotional, yeah. But that was also a movie I think that you encouraged me to pick when we were talking about what I might go with.
I'm so glad you picked it. That was probably the most memorable for me movies that we've watched this season. And we had seen a lot before, that were rewatches like this one. But this one, maybe I blocked it out of my mind, but man, great movie. Good pick, Josh.
It is a great movie and an underrated one. Some other movies, we mentioned Zodiac multiple times now, and Zodiac is great, but I feel like it has such a reputation now that people know about it. The Lookout, as you said, Scott Frank's first movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which was also one of his kind of breakout performances. That movie is really, really good. And Waitress with Kerry Russell, which I watched not that long ago, I think is so much fun. I might have picked that as well.
I'm glad you didn't pick The Education of Charlie Banks based on your love of Fred Durst.
I love how you just randomly have picked that out, and that's become the theme of this episode is Fred Durst.
I mean, you're sitting here with your backwards red baseball cap fitted.
You are the one who is actually wearing a baseball cap at this very moment.
White t-shirt.
And I am not.
All right.
Our foreign film was Marjane Satrapi's Persepolis, which I really like, and Jason was not as quite as into.
But I liked it. I'm glad we watched it.
Yeah, me too. And it was cool to do an animated film in there as well. But some strong choices, especially from France. The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, which, as mentioned, was at Cannes. La Vie en Rose, which got Marion Cotillard an Oscar. And then I know you had really been pushing for Nacho Vigalando's Time Crimes.
Yeah, which I've never seen, but I know a lot of filmmakers I love, like Ryan Johnson, loves that movie. So I thought that would have been a cool one for us to see.
Yeah.
You don't like that movie.
I don't. And it's a kind of movie that I feel like I should like.
Yeah.
And for the reasons that you just cited. And also, I love his film Colossal with Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
And so after having seen that, I went back and watched Time Crimes, and I just was not into it at all.
You see it, Dave?
Time Crimes?
No, I've never seen Time Crimes.
And the winner, I think, of Best Foreign Picture that year was The Counterfeiters, right?
Yeah, which is totally forgettable.
I never saw.
And the other one I was going to mention there is Paul Verhoeven's Black Book with Carice Van Houten, who has since become a big star. And that was his return to Dutch filmmaking and is typically Verhoevenian in its explicitness.
A wild ride.
Yes. Any other foreign films that you noted from 2007?
Nope. They've all been checked.
That's
list.
the entirety of world cinema for that year.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, what was your pick?
Well, I picked Juno, and I think we had just a really good episode about it, and brought forth some important social issues.
As we often do on this podcast.
Yeah. So we had mentioned Michael Clayton, which I love. Another film that's like it, which is somehow underrated, but you should totally see, is Breach. That's a great movie.
Yeah, I like Breach a lot as well.
Some other notable films I had, The The Astronaut Farmer, where you get to see Billy Bob at his most intensely
Billy Bobbian.
Yeah, and he's very good in that movie.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot too. I think that's an underrated film.
Eastern Promises, very good movie.
Sure.
There you go. I was thinking Darjeeling Limited, which is a good Wes Anderson movie that kind of gets lost in the Wes Anderson pack. Josh hates Wes Anderson, so it's always good making him watch Wes Anderson films. Before the Devil Knows You're Dead was at the last film of
Sidney Lumet.
Yeah, I think so. And one of the great performances by Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Right.
So that's a good one. There Will Be Blood. We all know that movie. And Son of Rambo, a fun British comedy that if you're looking for a fun British comedy where kids try to make their own movie, this is it. Son of Rambo.
Yeah, so many good movies from 2007.
Yeah.
So for our Sundance episode, we kind of switched gears midstream there. We watched the Grand Jury Prize winner, which is Sangre de mi Sangre or Padre Nuestro, depending on when you saw it. And we did not like it and didn't think there was really anything interesting to say about it.
Yeah, it wasn't good, wasn't interesting. So we actually moved my original pick, the Jason's pick, once, which I still love. And we moved that down because that was a World Cinema winner at Sundance.
It was
Film Festival that year.
And I think we had a very good episode on that, getting to talk to Megan Reardon.
Yeah, she's great.
She is. Some other stuff that was at Sundance in 2007, big documentary winner was Manda Bala, which I remember liking a lot. Is a very stylish documentary from Brazil, I believe. My Kid Could Paint That, as mentioned. Grace is Gone, starring John Cusack, won a bunch of awards, which nobody remembers that movie. I've never seen it. Rocket Science, which I know is a favorite of yours, Jason.
Hey, well, we talked about, Superbad as a great high school coming of age movie. This is another great one, I'd say.
It is, and a great breakout performance for Anna Kendrick in that movie. And Teeth, the weird horror comedy about vagina dentata, which I think one of our Facebook fans had also recommended.
Yeah, we didn't cover it, but that would have been interesting.
That is an interesting film, yes.
Away From Her was there. The Nines, which is John August's movie, it was there. The Savages and Smiley Face, which I think you like.
I love that movie, the Anna Faris movie.
Yeah.
Greg Araki, yes.
Yeah, and then Dave's pick, The 10.
Was that actually at Sundance?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You have no standards there.
Yeah.
We talked about the Best Picture winner, which was No Country for Old Men. Other Best Picture nominees, mostly movies we've just mentioned. Juno, Michael Clayton, There Will Be Blood, and the last one was Atonement, which is a good movie, but I feel like is kind of a forgotten movie.
I think it's a good movie, Joe Wright, and man, does that guy know how to work a camera.
He does. Joe Wright, that would have been interesting to talk about his legacy because he's had kind of a disappointing recent run.
Yeah.
But Atonement is just visually amazing and good performances in that movie as well.
Yeah,
I think that was Saoirse Ronan, kind of her big breakout.
This was just if you look at that, that's a really good 5 right there.
It is. I think Atonement is sort of the odd one out in that it hasn't had the same staying power, but yeah, an excellent list of films.
Dave's pick. Did you have anything besides the 10 that you were considering?
That was the only movie you liked in 2007?
I had a few other picks.
Oh, okay.
You guys probably hated my runner-up just as much, I'm guessing. Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen.
Oh my God.
I never saw it.
That is the worst. That is 10 times worse than the 10.
Yeah, I was going to ask. But
who directed that?
I don't know, but
someone who should be tried for war crimes.
It's basically like a Wile E. Coyote come to life movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love that movie. It's so dumb and ridiculous. A couple others. One of our audience choice potential episodes, Walk Hard, I was going to bring up. Also, The Visitor. And another one, which I don't necessarily like, but I thought would be a fun conversation for you guys, is B-Movie.
B-Movie, the animated movie with Jerry Seinfeld.
That's basically just exists as internet memes now.
Hey, what is The Visitor? What movie was that?
With Richard Jenkins.
Oh yeah, the Tom McCarthy movie.
That's a great movie.
Yeah. I
do like good movies sometimes.
There you go. There's one. I still have a promotional hand drum from that movie at my house.
Ooh, I want that.
Yeah. No, you can't have it. It's mine.
The Visitor is a party, and what do you do at a party? You play your hand drum.
It's an important plot point in that movie.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes. Our cult classic was Edgar Wright's Hot Fuzz, which is a really good movie. Some other, I think the main other one that we talked about there was Hot Rod, the Andy Samberg movie, which I've never seen, but does have a weirdly devoted following.
It's really fun. I know your sister's a big fan. Hi, Brandy. Shout out to Brandy.
She hates it.
Oh, really?
I think she had to see it multiple times when she was working as a screening rep.
Oh, well, I'm really glad we watched Hot Fuzz. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that movie is great. I would not necessarily object to seeing Hot Rod, but Hot Fuzz is great. I think I was pushing a bit for Bug, the Michael Shannon, Ashley Judd freak out, which is, a very interesting film. And a couple movies we mentioned already, Across the Universe and Southland Tales, both have pretty big cult followings.
I had a few more on my list.
Yeah.
Smoking Aces.
Which is almost as bad as Shoot 'em Up.
But does have a big cult following.
It does.
Yeah.
Black Snake Moan, another one.
Oh, yeah, I like Black Snake Moan.
And Reno 911 Miami, which, again, cult following.
Right. We could have continued the state theme for this season. We could have made it 3 Joe Lo Truglio movies.
The year of Lo Truglio is
it
what
really
we've
was.
learned,
Yes.
so.
That should have been our audience choice.
Yeah.
But our audience choice was Judd Apatow films. We talked about Superbad, and the other potential votes were for Knocked Up and Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, which, as we talked about in the Superbad episode, both would have been really interesting to talk about, and it was a very close vote.
Yes, we had some other concepts we were going to go with. Threequels, Shrek the Third, The Bourne Ultimatum, and Ocean's 13.
That was not a great idea.
No, and then remakes, which was Hairspray, Halloween, and 3:10 to Yuma. 3 very different types of films.
Very different.
But obviously, the Apatow, movies deservedly won this category.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Apatow had such an impact that we really wanted to be able to talk about his films. We had some fun Facebook suggestions talking about My Sister. Shout out to Brandy again. She likes Enchanted, starring Amy Adams, which I think is a lot of fun. That is a movie that I think is belatedly maybe getting a sequel. And it should. It was a nice little take on Disney princess movies.
She's a big star, Amy Adams.
She is indeed.
I think, most of us were introduced to her with Enchanted, and you would have been like, is she going to be a big star? Because she's good, but like that type of movie doesn't necessarily launch you.
Right, right.
But that's just how great she is.
Yeah, she's very versatile. And I think Junebug came before that. That was a big, like a serious dramatic role that she got, I believe, an Oscar nomination for that. So already showing her versatility. Teeth, as mentioned, Ryan Olbrich on Facebook wanted us to cover Teeth. So he's a messed up dude. And I think this guy, your friend Ian Zeitzer, who was very excited that we could cover Norbit.
Yeah, I think he was trolling us, but in a fun way.
Yes.
Ian Zeitzer, whatever you're calling yourself today. Very loyal listener. We love him. We love you.
We love all the listeners, of course.
We love them all, but he does have a lot of good suggestions. I had a few more. My friend Michael, who doesn't spell his name the right way, he wanted No Country, so he got that. He wanted Across the Universe. He didn't get that. Bo liked Michael Clayton. I don't blame him. Some of Dave's buddies in the Piecing It Together group, Chad suggested the 300. Not a surprise, right?
Oh, yeah. Chad, the Zack Snyder fanboy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Siggy wanted Beowulf, which would have been interesting.
That's I mean, it wasn't a flop, but I feel like it was artistically a flop.
Right. That was when, Zemeckis is playing with all types of fun technology and maybe focus a little more on the story.
Yeah, a little too much on the technology. Yeah, he's done that a lot.
Robert Sweeney Todd, that was not my favorite movie of that year.
It's not even like one of Tim Burton's most interesting movies.
And some lady named Gina, Dave's fiance.
Did she suggest the 10?
The Visitor.
Oh, there you go.
You guys are a match.
They are.
Very nice.
I want to mention another loyal listener who likes to troll us, Jeremy Vaughn.
Yeah, we love Jeremy Vaughn.
We do. Yeah, I know he had some real suggestions, including Eastern Promises that you mentioned, and the 10. The one other person who likes the 10.
Yeah,
No Country for Old Men. There Will Be Blood. Also, some interesting odd picks. The remake of Sleuth. And I think he was the one who wanted us to cover Three Ninjas last season. And
Yes.
he also suggested Delta Farce starring Larry the Cable Guy.
You know what, Josh? I'm gonna make an announcement right now, Josh.
Yes.
I'm gonna make an announcement because we're about to reveal our season 3 coming up.
Yes.
But before season 3 comes out, we're gonna do 2 fun special holiday episodes that we're dropping as our gifts to ourselves because we love paying attention to ourselves. No, but we thought there were going to be some fun holiday movies. So we're picking one from 1994 and we're picking one from the year of season 3, which
Please stop.
1989.
Yes.
You know what, Jeremy Vaughn? I'm going to throw in one more bonus episode for you if you come up with a ridiculous holiday episode.
No, don't do that.
From
don't give him
either
that power.
of our 3 seasons, 94, 2007, or 89. But it has to be as good as Delta Farce or Three Ninjas.
Three Ninjas Kick Back. Not even the original Three Ninjas, like a Three Ninjas sequel.
And Ian Zeitzer, you can help him pick it if you get it.
I veto all of this, except the fact that we are doing those Christmas episodes coming up as it is the holiday season. Do we want to announce those titles?
We might as well. 1994.
The Ref, which I think talked about in our 94 epilogue as a possible cult classic pick.
It is. And how do we cover Kevin Spacey?
We'll find out.
As a character in this film, I guess is the answer.
Yes.
1989, there's only one choice.
It's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which I really like, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to all of the movies we're going to talk about in our 1989 season.
We got a hot season for you coming up. One thing I like about 1989? No Fred Durst movies, Josh. So that's a good thing.
I agree. I think that actually on the schedule right now, 3 of the movies that we're planning to talk about are in, I think, my top 20 favorite movies of all time.
Well, we can, without revealing our personal picks or whatnot, we can reveal some of the award winners or the highest.
Well, you can look it up. We're going to start with the box office champion, which is Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah.
So, and you'll see what else we're going to do.
Yeah, we don't
need to give up too
more
much
movies than just that.
More movies than that, but that'll be the first one. After Christmas, we'll get to Batman, and that'll be fun. So.
I've never seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Have you really not?
Yeah, so isn't that going to be cool?
That is going to be cool. I think that is the best of the vacation movies, actually. But we'll talk all about it when we get
Interesting, because I've seen the original Vacation. I've seen European Vacation.
Yeah, and now you can see Christmas Vacation.
So many vacations.
So you're going in order.
Yeah, that's what I like to do.
All right, so tune in for those holiday episodes and our whole season on the films of 1989, and follow us on social media.
Yeah, we're at Awesome Movie Year on Facebook and on Instagram, and awesomemovieyear.com on the .com, and on Twitter, Awesome Movie Pod. I'm Jason Harris Comedy on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Go for Jason on the web, and I am at J Harris Comedy on Twitter.
You can find me at joshbellhateseverything.com, on Facebook at Josh Bell Hates Everything, and on Twitter at Signal Bleed. And our producer, David Rosen, has his great Piecing It Together podcast,
which you can listen to anywhere you're listening to this great podcast, and follow us on social media at Piecing Pod.
And I just want to say again, we love the interaction. We're so happy that you guys are listening and contributing and giving us feedback. So thank you to all the listeners out there.
Yeah. And thank you, Dave, for awesome producing as always.
And Merry Christmas, everyone.
Dave, the Steven Glansberg of Awesome Movie.
Thanks for listening to Awesome Movie Year.
Thank you for listening to Awesome Movie Year. Make sure to follow Awesome Movie Year on Facebook, at Awesome Movie Pod on Twitter, and at Awesome Movie Year on Instagram. And if you like the show, review us and rate us with 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
And all points west.